Let's get a little mic check. 1 2 1 2 real quick. All right, good. Sound good? All right. Chattiest Gaming, LOL. Let's go, Marty Miller. Shout out to you, my man. I saw your comment. I saw your comment in the GSP. What is that? The GSP shorts. So shout out to you. Here I am. I really appreciate when people do, reach out, especially when, let's say, if I haven't gone live for maybe a couple of days or so, or something like that. Yeah, I really appreciate that. There are people out there that do look out for the content, and also are just genuinely concerned about me, right? I think that's a very beautiful thing. So shout out to everybody around the world, because guess what? We're about to do a full breakdown of UFC 316, right? After all of the lackluster situations that have gone on, Macy Barber pulling out. On top of that, just boring cards after boring cards of Apex cards. All of a sudden, now we got a Vegas card in front of us. Sean O'Malley versus Marab. Now, look, I know a lot of people are not happy about this particular fight, and reason being why they're not happy. Morgan Blackhead says, yes, sir. Shout out to you. And Marty Miller with the hands clapping emoji. So, yeah, a lot of people are not happy about this fight. But I'm going to tell you what. Marab, his hardest fight is actually Sean O'Malley. And Sean O'Malley may not have shown that the first time around. Here's what I think, right? I think Marab is the type of guy that you need to fight multiple times in order to understand his rhythm, in order to understand his pace, and in order to understand how to offset whatever it is that he wants to put on. Now, if there's anybody that has a good chance of beating Marab, it is Sean O'Malley, based on what he has shown in the late part of the fifth round in their first fight. If you guys remember, Sean O'Malley came a little too late, right? It was one of those Johnny come lately type of situations, right? I'll give you another example that's very similar to that. Do you remember the first time when Deontay Wilder fought Tyson Fury? It went to a draw. Now, the second time around, Tyson Fury figured something out about Deontay Wilder that for whatever reason he did not figure out in the first fight. You want to know what that is? What he figured out was that I can move forward on this guy, hit him with shots, use my size advantage, even though Deontay Wilder at the time, and still is, a scary knockout artist. He figured, you know what? I'm bigger than the guy. I can use the size on this guy. I have better footwork, even though he has better knockout power. Let's try to use these attributes in order to offset whatever it is that he has going on. Pizza roll. What do you think about Barrios versus Pac-Man? I think that Manny Pacquiao is way over his head. I'm going to tell you, right? If this was 2010 and Barrios was fighting Pac-Man, there is no doubt I would be going for Pac-Man, right? There's no doubt about it. The problem is that it's not 2010, it's not 2011, it's not even 2015 when he actually fought Floyd Mayweather, right? It was a much better version of Manny Pacquiao, but that's really what it is. Who were you talking about before Pac-Man? I was talking about Sean and Marab, right? And Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. Why Tyson Fury was able to look as good, way better in the second fight than he did in the first fight, because similar to Marab and that of Sean, I think that you need to have multiple fights in order to, excuse me, sorry about that. You need to have multiple fights in order to understand what Marab has going on, right? Excuse me. A little allergies going on here. Who is your favorite WWE fighter? WVC. Wow. Okay. Favorite WWE fighter of all time or WWE superstar. I mean, they're not really fighters. I'll go with Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar was probably one of my all time favorites because I'm an MMA guy, right? So he's obviously going to be in there. Pizza Roll says, "Damn, dude, blow your nose first. Thank you for the advice." Aspinall versus Jones. As a matter of fact, my man, I have a video out on that right now. Okay, let me show you what video that is. It's on my video section. It's the latest video that I have right now. Check this out right here. Jones versus Tom Aspinall headed for NYC UFC 322. And the reason why I titled it like that, let me leave a thumbs up for you. Thank you, my man. Thank you, Pizza Roll. Shout out to you for that one. Also, check out my John Jones video as well after this live stream. I think you're really going to enjoy that one. Let me give you a little bit of a preview on that, and then you guys can watch the rest on your own. All of you, I was ready for it. The UFC, we all got a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. They're one of the biggest organizations in sports, and right now, Tom and I have agreed to wait for the UFC to make their announcements. So I understand that John Jones is ducking Tom Aspinall or scared of Tom Aspinall. Nobody is scared of anybody in this level, and that's something you have to understand. But what I do understand is that there is a business going on behind the scenes that many of you have to understand. Look, here's the harsh reality that many of you have to take, okay? And this is going to be very harsh for a lot of you to follow. Once they sign this fight, and I have so much confidence that they are going to sign this fight, all of you who have been saying John Jones is a duck, all of you who have been saying John Jones is scared, all of you who said, let's just get on with this, we're getting tired of it, whatever you want to say, black fatigue, fatigue this, fatigue that, UFC fatigue, whatever type of fatigue you got going on. The UFC is going to display it on their countdown show, and as a result of that, many of you are going to look like the biggest fools in the world. And if you want to know why you're going to look like the biggest fools in the world, go watch that video for those that believe that John Jones is ducking. MMA Paradox, shout out to you. He says, "What up, fam?" Tekken says, compare Tom Aspinall's resume to JDS when he was in his prime. Tom has been fighting dudes who just want a paycheck and have no intention of being champ. I don't know about that. Can you say that about Sergey Pavlovich? I mean, Sergey Pavlovich is a serious contender and probably one of the scariest dudes in the division before Tom had finished him. Um, Pizza Roll says, I think I've watched that clip. Okay, the clip of John Jones in Thailand, right? Yeah, I did use that clip and put it in the video. Yeah, please go check out that video. Give that video a like and some views as well. 16 viewers in here. Y'all better start liking the stream. Thank you guys for letting everybody know to like the stream and being very supportive. Damn, Jones ducking again. Not so fast. You might want to check out that video to see otherwise. No way in hell there's something running behind the scenes. Okay. Marty Miller says Curtis Blades is legit too, bro. Yes, that's another thing. Curtis Blades, it was a very big win for John Jones, right? MMA Paradox says it's on Tom because you can argue the competition isn't good, but he can't change that. He beats like 6 out of the top 15 guys. Okay. Fanai F says Prime Jones or Prime Anderson Silva. I'm going to go with Prime Jones because even if it was Prime Anderson Silva against John Jones, I think that John Jones has enough wrestling to really destroy Anderson Silva because remember, who destroyed Anderson Silva's reign? It was none other than Chris Weidman, right? Well, John Jones is just a better version of Chris Weidman, somebody that's a way better striker and a way better grappler and a way better wrestler at that, right? So that's all Chris Weidman was. He was just a downgraded version of John Jones, a kickboxer, wrestler um, type of template that he has going on. So yeah, Prime Silva is unstoppable, dude. He was, but you know what? Styles make matchups, right? And even as unstoppable as he was, look what Chael Sonnen was able to do with him. Now I know that there were rumors that said Anderson was injured in that fight, and that could be. DC took him down and beat him up too. Who did? Are you talking about Anderson Silva? Yeah, yeah, he did, and that's kind of where I'm taking a guess off of the hypothetical fantasy matchup of John Jones. And yeah, Dick Scott says, I'm going to report this channel. Well, why is that? Dick Scott, I mean, you're living up to your name. I don't understand what exactly you're going to report the channel for. But on any regard, yeah, I'm gonna ban you for 24 hours just for saying a stupid comment like that, right? So Dick Scott, you are up out of here. Get Dick Scott up out of here. It's not nice, Richard. Yeah, it's not at all. Michael says I just subscribed. Thank you so much, my man. Who did pay? Who did pay beat that? Who did pay beat that's noteworthy before the Aspinall fight? Who did Pav? Oh, okay, who did Pav beat? Okay, that's a very good point. Let's take a look at Pavlovich's record for that matter. Okay, Pavlovich. Let's take a look at where he stacks up in the heavyweight division. Okay, so he has beaten Curtis Blades. He's beaten Tai Tuivasa. He's beaten Derek Lewis, who, by the way, is a former title challenger. Shamil Abdur-Rahimov. That's a pretty good win. Maurice Green, the training partner of John Jones. Okay, so all right, it's not a bad thing. You know, I'm half pizza roll, just so you know. So okay, Yoke says, hi, bro. I'm from Indonesia. Shout outs to Indonesia. MMA Paradox says he destroyed Ty and Lewis in each a minute. He did. So yeah, man. I mean, he didn't look too bad. You know what I mean? F15, hi there. Long time no see. Shout out to F15, my man. Shout out to you. Blades, Tai Tuivasa and Lewis are all gatekeepers. Correct. They are all definitely gatekeepers for sure in that division, right? I mean, look at where Derek Lewis is at right now. Where's the next Derek Lewis fight, by the way? I know there's a big fight, or let's see, what is this? Oh, wow. Okay, hold on. Okay, reportedly struck an alleged thief and pinned him down until police arrived. Okay, that was in 2021. When is his next fight? Uh, Free Palestine. Shout out to you, my man. BA24 says Free Palestine. Thank you for that. They've all been brutally stopped. Pizza Roll says, I knew you were Filipino. I don't know about that, man. You know what I mean? You know, a little weird comment right there, man. Tekken has everyone in the division except for Tom. And yeah, shout out to you on that one. BA24, and of course, John, Pizza Roll. Yes. So, yeah, man, Pizza Roll, let me know what part of the world you are from. Obviously, I am from Sacramento, California, represent. Yeah, but let me know what part of the world you are from, my man. So, on any regard, yeah, man, UFC 316. The other topic that we're going to talk about also is Kevin Lee suing the GFL. That's a big story that is going on in the world of MMA right now, right? A very big story. So he's claiming defamation and extortion on that particular regard. But first, let's get to the full card of UFC 316, right? Sub to your channel, brother, from the horrific Middle East. Oh, wow. Okay, you're from the Middle East. What part of the Middle East are you from? Peace. Shout out to you. The only good fighters left is Tom at heavyweight. That's true. The heavyweight division in the UFC right now is at a very stale situation, right? That's really the best way to describe it. It's just stale right now. It's not the heavyweight division that it once was. I mean, if you remember, there were days when Josh Barnett was there, very skilled, very popular. Then there's Fabricio Verdum, very skilled, very popular, but also very entertaining. Has a personality, makes these stupid faces. Got into it with Colby Covington in Australia until this day, probably still fighting a court case based on throwing a boomerang at Colby Covington. Who else was in the heavyweight division at the time? Obviously, Cain Velasquez, very entertaining. Brock Lesnar, very entertaining. Yeah, we miss Cain Velasquez as well. Shout out to him. Did you guys see him at a lowrider show inside a prison? I didn't even know that you could do that. I got to ask some of my homies that have been to prison before. I don't know if I don't know if they've ever seen a lowrider show the uh, inside the prison systems, but yeah, that's new. Tekken says, look at Junior Dos Santos's record. There's another one, a highly decorated heavyweight, right? To see the level of competition he faced, he is a Hall of Famer. He definitely is. Marty Miller says, Dana should swallow his pride and bring Francis back to fight Tom. This would be huge. Well, I tell you what, who can make that happen is the Saudis, right? Francis ain't touching the UFC. Tekken, you're absolutely right. But to the point of Marty Miller and to address Tekken, wouldn't you say that Turkey Al-Sheikh could probably make that happen? Because you know what they say, right? Bullshit walks, money talks. And let me tell you, man, the Saudis are really good at handling bullshit when it comes to letting the money talk. You know what I mean? Like, we all know that about the Saudis in terms of geopolitical strategies that they've done, and also the strategies that they've implemented in boxing in the same, very similar fashion, right? The Saudis, I got to tell you, from the time that they created their state, and by the way, I know that people think that Saudi Arabia is this ancient culture or whatever. No, the Arab culture is the ancient culture. The state of Saudi Arabia is as new as the 1950s, right? So they're not much older than Israel. They're definitely much younger than America. And on top of that, when they started, they knew how to bring all these warring tribes together and say, hey, you know what? Let's get our shit together and let's get this party started. Let's do this. Let's implement these laws. Let's go with this particular thing. And yeah, so Pizza Roll says Jones wouldn't last around with the former heavyweights. Imagine Jones versus Shane Carwin. Pizza Roll. John Jones has sparred with Shane Carwin before and has beat his ass. You know what? I actually talk about that in the latest video. I need you to check out the latest video after this live stream because, yeah, I've actually talked about how both of these guys did against each other in a training capacity. Tekken says 6 inches of death. Pause. Haha. All right. Pizza Roll says Carwin will maul the hell out of John Jones. Well, they trained together. And yeah, no way Carwin beats Jones. Fanai says, yeah, Fanai, that's absolutely correct because I just mentioned it on the video that I did, the latest video that I did. It's 16 minutes long. You guys can check it out. I do talk about how Shane Carwin got handled by John Jones in the sparring room. Jones versus Velasquez would have been interesting. Well, you know what? A lot of people are saying that John Jones ducked that smoke during that time as well, because obviously he had a chance to go up in heavyweight, but he never did. And as such, he never got his double championship that he could have gotten. I mean, obviously, John has now won 2 belts in 2 different weight classes, but yeah, Diego Gomez says Ubering versus Bones Jones. You know what? That's another guy that he beat up in the training room too, is Overeem. Shout out to Overeem. He just recently got married. There's pictures of it all over social media. So Felix Guzman Martinez says, are you a Jones Glazer? No, I'm not. In fact, I think that when it comes to the argument of who had a better resume between Jones and Islam, even though I'm an Islam Makhachev supporter, if you can't tell by my beard, right? I would say that John Jones has the better resume, even though I like Islam Makhachev. So it's not that I'm a glazer of him of any kind. It's more as just telling the truth of the matter of the situation. right? Now, I think you could be called a glazer if you just say that, hey, you know what? John Jones is not a duck, which I believe that he's not. And as such, people are just going to call you all types of names. So this is going to be flipping wild. Dave Madge says, I can't wait to see the Bones fight for sure. It is happening, but it's going to happen in November. Just remember that the whole summer is already stacked, so they have to move it in the fall time, if not close to the winter time. By the end of the day, Dana wins. Correct. He definitely does win on that one. Islam gave up his belt to go to welterweight. Yeah, I don't know if it was voluntary. I think that it was the only choice that he got if he wanted to get up there. Do you remember Dustin Haslett? Oh, yeah, of course I remember Dustin Haslett. Yeah, shout outs to him. Dave Madge says, you got to give Aspinall credit. For sure. Pizza Roll says, what do you think about the UFC wage? Well, I think that a lot of people complain about fighter pay, and rightfully so. But here's what I say, right? If the UFC did not pay these guys shit the way that they do, I'm telling you right now, you would not be getting the production and the weekly UFC that you get, right? So everybody's always complaining about, oh, fighter pay or this and that. But you love the production of the UFC, right? You love the fact that the UFC has fights every week. They got all these video packages going on that they can pay, web designers. They can pay media, visual people, and things of that nature. That is the reason why the UFC is as big as it is, because of the way that they take so much money out of the fighters and into their budget and war chest. And I know that sounds very vicious, but it's true. So I can't believe Matt Hughes was hit by a train. Shout out to Matt Hughes. Yeah, man. That was very tragic for its time, but I'm sure I hope Matt Hughes is doing better now. I think that's been a couple of years now since that happened. Vihan says, La Bula. Okay, I don't know what you mean by that, but anyways, David Mash says, we deserve it. We deserve it. We deserve it. Okay, and then Marty Miller says, Tom himself says he understands John's perspective on not taking the fight. Well, not so fast. He may just take the fight. They're going to do what's best for business, being partners with the WWE. Correct. They absolutely are going to do that. You know what? Speaking of which, I had I don't know if you guys know this guy. His name is Joe Cronin, right? He does pro wrestling news. He also has experience training with some wrestlers, Sasha Banks, I believe, this and that. So he had this video called The Last Days, WWE Last Days. The Miz is next to be fired. Okay, so that's interesting. Yeah, you guys got to check that out. WWE's Sad Last Days. You guys got to check that out right here. It's this video right here, right? So shout out to Joe Cronin. He's actually one of the guys that inspired me to get into MMA YouTubing, even though he's a pro wrestling channel. I looked at him and I'm like, you know what? He has experience training with pro wrestlers. That's why he has a pro wrestling channel. I'm like, well, I have experience training with high level mixed martial artists. Why not do a mixed martial arts podcast? So here I am. David Madge says they're going to do its best. Okay, I read that part. I think the UFC may have some potential. I think the UFC has some potential stuff going on with John in the future that is stopping the fight with Tom from happening. Got to wait for Jones's contract to run down. Would you like to see Aspinall versus Hezbollah? No, I wouldn't. Okay, so let me address Tekken for a second, right? Okay, Tekken. Here's the thing, right? The UFC right now has a stacked schedule, already scheduled, right? From 316 all the way to 320, all the way to 321, and then 322 is New York. Okay, and then on top of that, John Jones is trying to beat the Cain Velasquez record right now. How great would it be for the heavyweight division that Jones walks into that cage against Tom Aspinall in November with a record like that, right? So a record like that, I think, would be very important for that type of promotion. David Madge says Sasha Banks has like 4 wrestling championships right now, going for the 5th like in 5 weeks. Wow. Okay, that's crazy. All right, shout out to Sasha Banks. for that one. Jones is more protected than the secret 11 herbs and spices. Okay, that's an interesting one. Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff made a freestyle pro wrestling promotion, and Ben Askren is in it too. Ben Askren, is it really? Ben Askren is in it. Okay, I'm excited for the Sugar Show to get this second fight. I think he'll do a lot better in this fight. And with that, let's transition into the early prelims of UFC's 316. So the first fight is going to be against Markel Medeiros versus Mark Chionski. Okay, so what do we know about these two guys? Markel Medeiros, right here. Okay, we got this guy. This is the first fight right here. I'm excited for the Sugar Show. I'm also hyped for McGregor to return to. I don't know if that's going to happen. That's going to be a barn burner for sure. So Markel Medeiros versus Mark Chionski. Okay, let's take a look at Markel Medeiros first. Who is this guy? Let's see what we can gather out of him. So this is a 155 fight. McGregor is never going to come back. Marty Miller says that's true. What's the gaming tag team, MMA, WME style? I don't know if I'd like to see that. David Madge says you never know. Okay, so Markel's. Let's take a look at Markel Medeiros right here. Okay, so Topology, the trusted news or the trusted source in all of combat sports. Okay, so he's coming off of a split decision win against Austin Hubbard, has a win over Landon Pionos, both by decision, has a finish in the Contender Series. Let's see how he did in his regional fights. So he lost his first fight by split decision. Okay, so not the biggest finisher in the world, right? I think that's fair to say, right? Not the biggest finisher in the world. Doesn't have any submissions. Most of his wins were by knockout. He's got a lot of decisions in his fights. So there's a good chance this fight right here could go to a decision as well. Okay, now let's take a look at Mark Chionski. Okay, he doesn't really have a big profile in him. Mark Chionski doesn't really have a big profile, but he is undefeated. Okay, look at that. This is the guy right here. This is awesome. This is awesome, David Mash says. Yeah, man, shout out to you. Thank you for tapping into the channel. The Shark. Okay, Mark the Shark Chionski, 8-0. Okay, so obviously has a wrestling background, comes out of Wisconsin, 2 decision wins, a lot of submissions in his fights, has 1 knockout. There's a good chance he could submit this guy right here, right? But I'm going to go with a decision for this one. Rear naked choke. You know what? I'm going to go with Mark Chionski by decision on this one. You want to know why? I'm going to tell you why I'm going with Mark Chionski by a decision. So both of these guys have the proclivity of taking it to a distance, fighting and winning on points. When you got 2 fighters like that, one fighter or both fighters know how to go to a scorecard or have gone to the scorecards for the majority of their fight, I think you're going to have to go with the wrestler. I'm going to go with, Mark Chionski on this one. Submission finish would be fire. I don't think there's going to be a submission finish on this one. I don't think there's going to be a finish at all. So I think the first fight of the night, that's going to go to a decision. And it's going to go on Mark Chionski's part, the wrestler. And I think that he's going to grind his way into victory. So moving on. Next fight. Yanel Amouche taking on Killen Skillet. Now, Yanel Yamush, I got to tell you something interesting about this guy, right? So Yanel is an Arab, okay? But he has an Israeli passport. He's also Muslim, by the way, right? Many people think that just because he has an Israeli flag on his stats that he is from Israel. He's actually of Palestinian descent. Let's take a look at this Palestinian Chad right here. Right, so Yanel Amouche. So coming off of Trevor Peak, a unanimous decision win. Oh, let's get rid of that right there. So 8-1, Yanel Yamouche. See, he's got the Israeli flag, but this dude is actually an Arab, right? Red Fox. So he's a ginger Arab. Shout outs to all the gingers out there and all the ginger Arabs. Chris Duncan, he's lost to a decision, only loss in his career. Sam Patterson, Dennis Hughes has had a few knockout finishes in the regional, a few submissions. Started his career off with a submission, two submissions at that. So the fight that he's going to have is against Killen Skillod. So let's take a look at Killen Skillod from Perth, Australia. Okay, so he's coming off of a win as well. He's actually coming off of a win, actually beat Indian star Anush Jubilee. You guys know who he is. All my Indian followers in here know exactly who Jubilee is. Gage Young has a win in the Contender Series, and before that, he fought all over Perth, right? So with a long win streak, obviously lost his first fight. Man, there's a lot of guys that lost their first fight in that part of the world, right? But it's yeah, man. Who am I going to go for in this one? I'm going to go with Yanel on this one, right? This one is going to be a close decision as well. I'm going to go with Yanel by decision on this one. So the first two fights of the night is going to end by decision. Both men, not both men, both fights are going to end in decision. The first two fights. So the second fight or the third fight we got going on. Yo Joe Sang versus Jekka. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so versus Jekka right here. Okay, let's take a look at this fight. Jekka, he's Indonesian. Okay, so shout outs to my Indonesian followers in here. I'm sure you guys know who this dude is. So, okay, 14-4. Okay, he's coming off of a loss, triangle armbar. Lucas Alexander has a loss against Anish Jubilee. Oh, that's not a good sign. Okay, so let's take a look at his opponent. I may have to go with his opponent on this one. Look, if you lose to Jubilee, I don't know, man, but Zhou Yang Sang, let's take a look at who this guy is. Okay, doesn't really have a profile, but is undefeated. And these are usually some of the most dangerous guys that you could fight, right? They're dangerous, they're unknown, and you don't know why they're dangerous. But let's take a look at the South Koreans' stats right here. Okay, so has a decision. This is his UFC debut as well. UFC debut. Yeah, I'm going to go with him by knockout. I'm going to go with him by knockout on this one. I think that, yeah, he'll win this one by knockout for sure. Zhou Sang Yang is going to win this one by knockout. So, okay, next fight. Next fight. So we can get to the good stuff, which is Kevin Lee and the lawsuit that he has going on. Okay. So Ariane Lipsky taking on Wang Kong. I'm going to go with Wang Kong on this one. Better record, a lot more athletic, right? A lot more prepared. On top of that, the Chinese are just doing something really correct in their preparation, right? Look at this, right? Bruno Silva, he gets the decision, gets a knockout over Victor Leandra, but has a loss, has been choked before. Okay, but if this person that she's fighting is not a submission artist, is Ariane Lipsky a submission artist in any kind of way? No, has more of a striking style and is coming off of a submission loss. Has been knocked out quite a few times, been knocked out a lot, actually. So I'm going to go with Kwang on this one by first round knockout, right? I think that, yeah, we get a knockout in this one. There's not a lot of knockouts in the women's division, but I think this one is going to be a knockout for sure. Okay, so next fight coming up. That concludes the early prelims. Now let's get to the prelims. Okay, starting from the very bottom of the prelims. All right. So we got Kalian Williams versus Andres Gustafsson. I'm going to go with Andres Gustafsson in this one. Okay. Okay, so Killian Williams. Let's go with Andres Gustafsson. So Andres Gustafsson is fight Bane. His name is Bane, right? Fighting out of obviously with a name like Gustafsson, that is Sweden, right? So coming off of a win, knees to the head. So he's coming off of the Contender Series. This is going to be his UFC debut, and he's going to take on Chaos Williams. Is that right? Is it Williams that he's taking on? Just to make sure here. Okay, it is Chaos Williams. Okay, I forgot that that is his name. Yeah, so Kalion, it's Chaos Williams. So Chaos Williams is coming off of a loss, technical submission. Yeah, I think Gustafsson is going to win this one. The UFC jitters is going to hit him a little bit, but I think, yeah, I think this is his moment right here to, get the. He's going to get a decision on this one. I think he's going to get a decision on this one right here. Next fight coming up, uh, Sergey Pavlovich versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. I'm going to go with Waldo Acosta on this one. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to go with Waldo Acosta on this one. He's got better boxing. I think he also has better wrestling, and I think that he's going to implement that against Sergey Spivak. Now, this is going to be one of these heavyweight fights where it's actually not going to a finish. This one's not going to get a finish at all. Sergey Spivak is not going to be able to finish Waldo, and Waldo is not going to be able to finish Sergey. Sergey is definitely not going to finish Acosta. Okay, I'm going to tell you why. Okay, so let's take a look at some past fights for Sergey. Coming off of a loss against Jailton Almeida, he got knocked out. That doesn't necessarily mean that Waldo is going to knock him out. Waldo, let's take a look at the fight that he's coming off of. Waldo Acosta, Salsa Boy. What an interesting name. Okay, knocks out Ryan Spann, gets a decision win over Robles, who, by the way, is no longer in the UFC, now in karate, in the Karate Combat League, has a unanimous decision win over Andrei Arlovsky. So I can see this fight sort of playing into that rhythm, right? Of just going into, going into like a decision, going into like a very grindy fight, especially for Waldo Acosta, right? If there's anybody that's going to take this fight to the ground and get the most ground control time, it's probably going to be Waldo Acosta. So we move on, right? I'm going to go with Waldo Acosta on that one by decision. Okay, so moving on, we have in the light heavyweight division, Azmat Murzanov taking on Brenson Ribeiro, undefeated, 14-0. I don't think this is going to be any different. I think that Azmat is going to finish him probably in the second round, if not, probably get a decision at most. I think he's going to get a decision. He's just so small at light heavyweight, but very effective. He's doing something right. Okay, so moving on. How about this? One of my favorite fighters right now in the flyweight division, Joshua Van, a very natural talent, very good striking, also very good wrestling, developing his overall mixed martial arts game. Bruno Silva, more of a journeyman type of fighter. Bro got that Islam beard. Shout out to you, Fiji Waters. I definitely do, my man. What's up, Makachev? All right. So Joshua Van, 23 years old, right? One of the highly touted prospects right now, taking on Bruno Silva. Not to be mistaken by the Bruno Silva at 185, but yeah, this is the Bruno Silva at 125. This is the guy that we got right here. By the way, don't forget to like and subscribe, Fiji Water. Shout out to you, my man. So 14-6-2. He's coming off of a loss against Manel Kape. So more than likely, if Joshua Van advances on this one, Joshua Van could look at names like Manel Kape, so on and so forth as the days go on. So okay, yeah, man, I think Joshua Van is going to get a knockout finish on this one. So yeah, man, I'm excited for that one, especially by the prospect of Joshua Van probably being the guy that is next in that division right now. So 13-2, Joshua Van, very young in his career, but highly improving. So we move on to the main card of the evening. So the main card opens up with Mario Batista versus Patchy Mix. So here we go. Patchy Mix entering the UFC pool, coming from Bellator. And as such, now here's Mario Batista. By the way, one of the most hated bantamweights right now. And the reason why they hate him is because what he did with Jose Aldo, right? He did what he did. It's mixed martial arts. It's what you do. When you are in there against a guy that is a crazy striker like Jose Aldo that could leg kick you, that could knock you out, you got to do something to offset him. Mario Batista did the right thing. Now, is he going to be able to do that to Patchy Mix? I don't think so. Patchy Mix is very good wrestling, very well rounded, 20-1 in his decorated bantam weight career, but now going into the UFC, it's a great way to go into the UFC, a great matchup. Now look at Aaron Pico. How are they bringing in Aaron Pico? They're bringing him in here to fight Evloev for his first fight. That's not how you treat a Bellator star. But Patchy Mix, he's getting that Bellator star coming into the UFC treatment by fighting Mario Batista, a very winnable fight for him. UFC jitters is going to be there, so maybe there's not going to be a finish, but there will be a decision win for Patchy Mix. Let's take a look at where Patchy Mix has been in his career right now, or as of late. So he's got a win over Magomedov, split decision win in Bellator Paris. That was back in May. Sergio Pettis has a win over him. Sergio Pettis is a former Bellator champion. So he is the current Bellator. Obviously had to drop that belt. He's also submitted Magomed. He hasn't lost since Juan Archuleta, and that was his first loss, and that was going back into the pandemic, which was September 2020. And he won the bantamweight championship from there. Never lost it since. Has a win over Haraguchi. So yeah, man, this could probably be one of the best bantamweights in the world right now, and we just don't know it. And he's 5'11" too on top of that. So what? Your mic is off? Your mic is off. Are you sure? Are you sure my mic is off? Hold on. Hold on a second. Let's make sure of that. We can hear you. Why did you say my mic was off? We can hear you. Why did you say my mic was off? Okay, well, all right. All right. Kidding, Kyrie. Don't worry. Okay. All right. My man. Okay. My man, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. But anyways, yeah. Okay, at least my mic isn't off. So yeah, man, it's going to be an easy win for Patchy. It's going to be a little bit challenging because it is the UFC. But man, don't count him out for a finish. It's a Patchy win, a Patchy Mix fight for sure. Now, Kelvin Gastelum versus Joe Pfeiffer. You guys know I did a video on Joe Pfeiffer saying that his homeless story is nothing more than a scam, right? So here it is. He's taking on Kelvin Gastelum. Look, I think that Kelvin Gastelum is going to out-wrestle him in this fight. He's going to grind him. I don't see Joe Pfeiffer winning this if Kelvin Gastelum is on his A game. But if Kelvin Gastelum is not on his A game, you know, Joe Pfeiffer is going to do him in. And when he does him in, I think that he'll knock him out. So moving on, Kayla Harrison taking on Juliana Pena. Hands down, this is an easy win for Kayla Harrison. Kayla Harrison is going to win this. And not only that, I think she's going to brutalize Juliana Pena from round 1 to round 5. Look, there's just some things that you're not going to be able to keep up with. All the years that Kayla Harrison has put into judoka and competing at the highest level, I don't think Juliana Pena has enough of that. They have an equal amount of fights, right? Juliana Pena 13-5, Kayla Harrison 18-1, soon to be 19-1, because I think that she takes this by easy decision. Speaking of easy decision, Merab Dvalishvili taking on Sean O'Malley. Look, I don't like Sean O'Malley's chances in this fight. I really don't. I think that Merab is going to do the same thing that he did in the first fight. I would like to think that Sean O'Malley does something different. I don't think so, though. I think Merab is going to win this one very easily. very easily. I think he's going to win this one. It's not going to be any different. So Marab Velinashvili by decision on that one. So that is the full card for UFC 316. Now, let's get to the juicy parts of the news. Okay, now, uh, Kevin Lee plans on suing the GFL over canceled events. Okay, according to MMA Fighting, according to MMA Mania, Kevin Lee smacks GFL with a lawsuit for defamation and extortion. Notice how MMA Mania wrote that a little bit more sensationalized, but let's read what MMA Mania has to say. So, written by Alexander Buhin from MMA Mania. Okay, so this was June 2nd. Let's okay, this is a clip from Clifford, RJ Clifford.
And then these last maybe 12 months or so, we were in pretty heavy talks with GFL. They were supposed to be the new startup promotion. They were supposed to be the next big thing, and I got behind them pretty good. The talks were great, but there wasn't no action behind it. And I can't speak too much on the situation because now we're going through legal, and I'll be suing them for some defamation, for some extortion. I think that they use guys like me and used our name in order to get out there and be a major face of the MMA the promotion business, and nothing ever came from it.
All right, well, there you have it, right? So suing for defamation, using their names and likeness in order to get the GFL going, but nothing really came of it. So I don't blame them for that, right? By the way, to answer your question, somebody had asked me, Michael Finch, Bomber, do I train MMA? Yes, I do. I've actually trained with some of the best guys in the world. I've won Muay Thai, state titles. I've competed in MMA. I've competed in Muay Thai. I've competed in wrestling my whole life. I've won medals in Taekwondo. I've won, trophies in Muay Thai. So, yeah, man, I've got a pretty interesting martial arts background to say the least. So, but yeah, okay. So let's get to this Kevin Lee story, right? So, Global Fight League was supposed to hold a 2-day event 2 weeks ago, but the upstart promotion, which promised huge contracts, revenue sharing with its fighters, collapsed months earlier when investors pulled out, leaving the fledgling promotion with no funds. All of the fighters were released and were told that you could sign with other promotions, which many have. For example, the UFC interim lightweight title challenger, former lightweight title challenger, Kevin Lee recently signed with PFL to compete in their world tournament. However, Lee is not getting GFL off the hook for using his likeness and promising a lucrative contract. He revealed today that he will be suing GFL for defamation and extortion. Now, he says, and I quote, they were supposed to be the new startup promotion and next big thing. I got behind them pretty strongly, Lee said to Sirius Radio MMA Today. Talks were great, but there wasn't any action behind it. I can speak too much on a situation because we're going through a lot of legal proceedings, and I will be suing them for defamation and some extortion. They used guys like me and our names to get out there to be a major face for the MMA promotion business, and nothing ever came of it, Lee had concluded. So as a non-lawyer, I'd argue that defamation and extortion are tough to claim here, okay? Defamation requires false statements that harm reputation. Also, extortion involves illegal coercion. Both seems like a stretch without clear evidence. Perhaps a case might come of a breach of contract. Now, GFL made a formal or implied agreement, written or oral, to compensate Lee for promotional work for his likeness. Their failure could pay him some entitled damages depending on the terms. Even if the promotion tanked, Lee might still deserve compensation for services rendered. The catch, even if Lee wins, the GFL's empty bank account means any settlement could be uncollectible. So good luck for him on that one. LOL says, do you want to see a tree grow? Or I'm not going to say that at all, because even though I'm a little bit older. I'm still young enough to understand internet lingo, and you're not going to catch me on that one. So, LOL to the LOLs to the LOOOOOLs of the world. Shout out to you. I'm not saying that, my man. You can read it. I'll leave it up because it's not illegal or it's not against standard rules for you to have that, but I can't say it out loud. And you know why. So, nice try. Okay, at least give me a like and subscribe for that one. By the very least, what you could do is go watch my John Jones video, by the way. So that's what we got with Kevin Lee. Okay, haha, you good, bro. Shout out to you. What part of the world are you from, brother? Let me know what part of the world you are from. So we'll yeah, so we know what part of the world you are from, and we can shout you out, and we can put a name and a face and a place to it all. So okay, let's see here. Oh wow, okay, we had actually quite a few people subscribe to the channel as this live stream was going on. All right, so shout out to everyone around the world. And okay, let's see here. Okay, so all right, so the next topic at hand obviously is Mobland, right? Mobland is the next topic at hand that we would like to talk about. You guys seen Mobland by uh, Tom Hardy and Pierce Bronson. Probably one of the best roles that he's ever did. So, Mobland review. Let's react to some Mobland review things right here. Okay. So the brain plot. And by the way, for those that have seen the show, please, I'm telling you right now, skip over this. Okay, skip over this if you've seen the show and you don't want any spoilers. Shout outs to Brain Pilot, okay, because we're going to react to Brain Pilot's show right now. Listen, let's go for that. That's an interesting screen name, okay? Because I'm not going for that. Would you rather watch a tree grow? Come on, bro. You literally just copy and pasted LOL. Please be original. Okay, please be original if you're going to try and set me up or this and that. Come on, man. Like, again, I said, you're entitled to write that because it's not bad to read it, but it's bad to say it. You understand? It's bad to... Okay, look, you're spamming now, okay? But all right, let's get to Mobland. 1.5% cash back is just the beginning. With no annual fee. Chase Freedom Unlimited. How do you cash back? Maybe you need a little less inspiration. Valspar Ultra, starting at $29.98 a gallon. I don't. I don't go for that. Let's go for that. All right, so here we go.
Mobland stepped in and ascended the position. One could say that Gangs of London is the Conrad of this story, and Mobland is the Kevin, with an ending where we saw the resolution of the battle between the Harrigans and also the Stevensons.
Broforce says Marab is going to win. Yeah, that's what I predicted. Shout out to Broforce. That's literally what I had predicted earlier on. So, yeah, you might want to check that out. But yeah, let's get to this Mobland review right here.
Was double-crossing, betrayal, explosions, death, and Harry showing that he's still as loyal as they come. So with that, sit yourself down and tune right in as I break down the finale of Mobland. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. The ending explained. When it came to the ending of this series, we were left at the point where Harry had a meeting with O'Hara scheduled for 10 a.m, and he also had a meeting with Kat set later on that afternoon. Within the meeting with O'Hara, he found out that it was actually her that was the rat and had been working with Richie for around a year.
So I got to tell you, man, the story of this whole entire show was absolute badass. I mean, the plot, the twist, the betrayal that happened, the mix and matching of alliances that have gone on. I mean, it is top 10 of all time.
And and she'd been sharing information on the Harrigans. So it wasn't Archie, which meant that Conrad killed his longtime friend since the 70s over something that wasn't actually the case. But what it did show was the influence that Maeve had and how she can seep poison into her husband's ears as he'll act based upon it. This led Harry to want to set up a ruse with
And you know, that's a good point. That's one of the subliminal messages that I think the movie was trying to convey. Check this out, right? In the movie, or in the show rather, right? Because it's a 10 episode series show in this season. Maybe they'll do another season. But you'd be surprised how many people go to prison because of women, right? Because of what women say, because of what women provoke, or this and that. Like, for example, you see in the hood, right? Somebody, gets, let's say a woman, right? Whatever, some dude starts talking smack to her, whatever. Next thing you know, she goes and brings her brothers along, or this and that, or her family. And the next thing you know, they're crashing out and fighting a whole bunch of people that they never should have been fighting in the first place, right? So, who do you think is going to win Money in the Bank? Herberto Perez says, you know what? I don't know who's in Money in the Bank, actually. I think people ask WWE questions because of this belt. They assume that I know what's going on in the world of WWE, but we can talk more about that as time goes on for sure. But yeah, I'll take a look and see who is in Money in the Banks for the future, for future sake, if the conversation ever pops up. But let me know in the comment section below who's going to be in Money in the Bank, and maybe I could give you my own prediction on who that is. And I don't know how accurate that prediction is going to be, because if I haven't been keeping up with the storylines, then maybe perhaps it would be harder for me to give an honest analysis on that, because usually whoever has traction usually is projected to win in these WWE matches. But yeah.
Richie and used the fact that he trusted O'Hara to be able to wipe him out for good. O'Hara spilled the location of the safe house that the Harrigans were staying in following Conrad and Maeve being arrested, and Richie sent all of his men round there to wipe every one of them out. Plus, at the same time, O'Hara made out like she was going to meet with Harry at her office with Richie. But Richie sent...
Yeah, here's the thing. This show had a lot of setups going on, right? Like, you thought that this was going to go one way and then it went the other way. It's, wow. Very, very, very fascinating stuff.
Of his men round there as well to wipe out Harry and Kevin when they walked in. This was all a part of Harry's plan, and instead, Richie's men were killed because Harry and Kevin weren't heading there. They were actually heading towards Richie's office. Richie grabbed O'Hara and was using her as a way of protecting himself, but we saw Harry didn't care and he killed her anyway, even though she worked with him on the plan. This was because she showed her true side and showed that she was a traitor. In the world that they operate in, you can't have a weak link and somebody that you can't trust, because that causes a weakness and it can come back to get you. Because what's to say that they won't do it again? Loyalty is Harry's biggest trait, as we know, because he's never strayed to the other side, despite being offered it when Conrad...
And this is one of the things that I really appreciated about the show, the fact that Tom Hardy's character really stood on business when it came to loyalty. I'll tell you who his character reminded me of in this show. It reminds me of Tony Yayo. If you guys don't know who Tony Yayo is, he's 50 Cent's right-hand man. He was loyal to 50 Cent from the time that he got shot to the time that he wasn't a superstar, all the way to when 50 Cent was a superstar. And as a result, he got rewarded handsomely for being 50 Cent's right-hand man. Loyalty gets you somewhere sometimes, and this particular story really explained that. Yeah, man, loyalty over everything.
Was looking questionable. So that's why he was so quick to kill O'Hara, because he lost all respect for her. Kevin said the final words to Richie, which was the Harrigans say hello, before sticking him with the final bullet, showing that the Harrigans now sat on top again. But
shout out to JuiceMan562. Shout out to everybody in Long Beach. My man from Long Beach right here. Shout out to Long Beach. I see, Juice Man, you got a new, I think you got a new profile pic right there. I think you had the Eazy-E profile pic before. But yeah, I just did the preview for UFC 316, the whole card. I did the full card prediction on this live stream. And then we talked about just a wide range of things from the very beginning. And also, we talked about what else did we talk about here? Well, right now we're talking about Mobland. So, yeah, new PFP. That's Alexa Grasso. Love my bay. Okay, okay. So that's Alexa Grasso on the profile pic. Okay, awesome. So we are reviewing Mobland right now, a show that I saw on Paramount. Very awesome show, and we're doing a review on it right now.
But this was a different era of the Harrigans. It was no longer the Conrad and Maeve show, which caused the Harrigan name to be dragged through the mud because it started to represent chaos, panic, and madness. Instead, with Kevin looking to be at the wheel after making his move, he wanted it to stand for stability and a newfound respect.
Everyone knows you need a lawyer after a car accident. But what if I told you there's a better way? One,
what the ending of this final episode truly means is that it feels like there's almost going to be a civil war ensuing within the walls of the Cotswold estate in the next season. Conrad wants the power. Maeve is looking to side with Eddie. Serafina is looking to ascend the position, which was symbolically shown to us by sitting in Conrad's seat. And Kevin and Harry are looking to take it too. So the family could quite literally tear itself apart from the inside out, all whilst being on the receiving end of Kat as well. The gang leader to poach Harry, but he chose not to go. So it's going to be interesting for sure, as there's going to be battles on all fronts. With Harry being...
So that's where this show really takes an interesting turn, right? Not only are they facing internal battles, but they're also facing battles from the outside as well, which I think really hit the point of what happens in that world of gangland and mobland and all of that.
Being stabbed by Jan right at the end of the episode. Personally, I don't think that's going to be the end of him. He's too tough of a guy and too much of a main character to be taken out by a kitchen knife by mistake, so I think he'll definitely survive the ending. With Conrad going absolutely mental during the ending of the episode whilst inside the walls of the prison, it showed that realistically he was where he belonged and around the type of people that did respect him. The criminals that didn't hold as much power as what he did. That's the first time we've actually seen him be respected in the entirety of the show. Everybody else that's on a similar level to him has spoken about how he's literally lost it. So it was rather telling of the position that he was now in and that he was quite...
I'll tell you what that reminds me of. Reminds me of Suge Knight, right? Now, before Suge Knight left the streets and went into prison, a lot of guys respected him, right? But then he started losing respect, started getting beat up by a barber. I mean, there were allegations of Suge Knight actually snitching and this and that. But then when he goes in the inside, everybody shows love to Suge Knight. And even Pierce Morgan on the outside doing an interview with Suge Knight. So, yeah, man. All right, it kind of reminds me of that. Pierce Bronson's character reminds me of Suge Knight in that regard. So,
literally a madman. With Harry getting a recording of Alice basically saying that they were framing Conrad and May for a crime that they didn't commit, it showed that the both of them would be getting out as soon as that was shown to the police. What I thought was interesting about the ending as well was that Alice ended up being killed by Tattersall because of her involvement in the corrupt capture of Conrad and Maeve, and he couldn't trust her. With Tattersall obviously being involved with Richie, it just shone a light on how these gangs had their fingers in many different pies, filling up corrupt officers and detectives' pockets in order to stay safe. So even the people investigating aren't out of reach from the criminals.
Oh, yeah, and this is another interesting thing about this show. There's a lot of corrupted cops that are involved in this show as well. And the twists and turns that go along with it, I mean, it is just like unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable.
And that in Alice's situation, she was actually much closer to a criminal than what she could even realize. One major revelation that occurred in this episode was that Eddie wasn't actually Kevin's son. So when Maeve mentions it...
Wow! So that's the other crazy thing that went on with this show, right? One guy who was the dad and the son, well, let's just say that the grandfather was actually the father and the father was not the father at all. If you can catch my drift on that scandal right there.
To Kevin in the previous episode about his other brother that we didn't know about. It turned out that that was actually Eddie. Conrad was intimate with Bella, and then Kevin raised Eddie as his own, and Eddie found this out by Maeve telling him. This led Eddie to want to go and kill his mother, but he was stopped. So I think with Maeve and Eddie looking like they're going to be teaming up in the next season, and Eddie seemingly no longer respecting anybody in the family other than Maeve, that could be dangerous. I think Kat is going to be a key figure in season 2 of the show, and she'll most likely be the Richie of the season, the main opposing figure to the Harrigans. So that'll be interesting to see being developed, because the name Kat McAllister sent shivers down the body of the Harrigans whenever she was mentioned. My review of the episode. I thought this was a great season finale. To be honest, I thought it was a great 10-episode.
I agree with it as well. Sorry about that. I think it was yeah, I'd give it a 10 out of 10. You know what? The reason why I would give it a 10 out of 10 is because if you want to see something again in the next season, that's an indicator that, hey, you know what? This was a great show nonetheless. So yeah. Okay, let's continue on with this.
Of television overall. There's not been a solid gang show on TV for quite a while, and this definitely...
That's true. There hasn't been a solid gang show on TV for a while, but this. So this right here, I would put up there with The Sopranos, The Wire, and Top Boy, right? Which, by the way, is a combination of all those three. So
definitely filled the void that Gangs of London left when the show went downhill. Tom Hardy as Harry is one of my favourite performances in the show. The loyalty that he has, and the if you don't trust me, it's on you attitude, because he genuinely is the most trustworthy person in the show, is something that always makes me laugh.
Yeah, I do like that. I do like that they made Tom Hardy's character the most trusting person in the whole entire show. I do like that. And I think that they gave depth to that character, right? Especially being the main character in that whole entire show. I think it gave depth to his storyline and everything that goes around him and his motivation, which, by the way, is very important for storytelling.
He's a tough cookie that you don't want to get on the wrong side of, and the emotionless expressions that he always has makes him so hard to read. Realistically, he should be the person making the move, because I don't think there's anybody that could match him. I also think Paddy Considine as Kevin is one of my favourite performances as well. I might be a bit biased on that because I genuinely think he's a phenomenal actor, but he definitely delivered in this season. Especially in this episode. The conversation he was having with the dead prison guard, reflecting on how it was his father that made him who he was, and that he was...
So I'll tell you what I really liked about this show too, right? The other character in this show, Kevin, right, who is the other protagonist, he ends up finding the correctional officer that molested him while he was locked up. And then what did he do? He ended up popping him in his head right in his house after he followed him home. Or I think he posed as an Uber driver to pick him up from the nursing home and then just popped him right there in his house. So
holding on to a lot of trauma from him, that it was letting out the feelings towards his father onto the prison guard, as well as the suffering that he caused him. It was a powerful moment. Plus, when he went to see his father in the visiting room and we saw their relationship essentially disintegrate, it set up what frostiness could be present in the next season. In terms of the fight scenes, the show just really knows how to capture the tension, the build-up of what to expect, and then also provide a satisfying fight scene crescendo or explosion. I like the fact that the killing of Richie was quick and clinical. Even though we'd waited all season for it, there was no messing around, and it was as if Kevin knew that he just needed him out of the picture. There didn't need to be a song and dance about it. One way that I thought tension was built really well in this season was when the camera was moving and just whipping along with the phones across the desk between Richie and O'Hara. That rapid movement just felt like it captured the tone and mood of the conversation and the rushed nature of what was going on.
See, I like that. I like that they knew that was a focal point in terms of showing and capturing the momentum, the sense of urgency that is happening within these scenes. Very brilliantly done, right? These small little details that they're talking about, only people that have been in production or people that have been in arts and theater would really understand. So
The Beast in Me by Johnny Cash was a song that was used a lot throughout this episode, and I thought it was the perfect song choice. We saw it after Harry and Kevin dealt with the prison guard, but it then played again before the ending, where there were just bodies littered all around the safe house and the office. With the innocent people in all of this, Jan and Gina, looking on, it showed that they didn't have the beast within them, because they looked so out of place with all of that chaos and death surrounding them. So I thought that was a great song choice. The casting in this season has genuinely been phenomenal. Helen Mirren as Maeve is a character that I absolutely hated, but that was literally the point. We're not supposed to like her, and I did genuinely...
Yeah, that's a very good point, right? Here's something that you guys have to understand, and this sort of relates in combat sports context, right? Usually we see characters like Colby Covington, even Conor McGregor, and the list goes on, right? You'd think, man, you know what? I hate this guy. He's so cringy. Yeah, good job. That's the point. That's what they're trying to convey towards you, is that they're not to be liked, they're not to be trusted, and that's really the bottom line about it. And on top of that, it's deliberate. It's deliberate with a cause and a reason behind why they are doing it. So
they wrote her so well. The same with Conrad too. They did a really good job at writing a character that you could tell once had power and influence in their heyday, but he was losing his marbles slightly, going rogue just to see if he still had it. So I commend the team for that as well. This has been one of the best TV shows on television in recent weeks, so if you haven't watched it, I strongly recommend you do. It's Sunday today. There are 10 episodes, and if you started early enough, you can get through all of it today. So binge, binge, binge. So, there you have it. Mobland Episode 10, Ending Explained. If you want to see more of your favorite TV series and movies being...
All right, so shout outs to Brain Pilot for that one. That concludes our review of Mobland. I really think that there's a lot of plots and twists and stories, and not only that too, I think just the overall lessons of manhood, adolescence, and coming of age, right? All those topics all rolled into one in this show. On top of that, if you're into gangster flicks, if you're into action, if you're into drama, if you're into all this British stuff, I mean, listen, bro, this is Pierce Brosnan's best role. I think he did a better job on this than he ever did in James Bond. But that's bias on my part. I think I just like seeing Pierce Brosnan play a gangster. But nonetheless, yeah, that's the ultimate overall reality of it. So, okay, guys, with that in mind, I'm going to give you a little bit of a review or as a little recap on what we did in this show today. Okay, Gangs of London is an excellent series also. Yes, that's also an excellent series. That is on Netflix, and I believe they have all of the they have all the episodes in Netflix, so it's something to check out as well. Very similar to it, right? Although Mobland, I think it's not as slow as Gangs of London. Although I didn't watch all of Gangs of London yet, I think it's a very slow burn. I mean, I'm sorry, I did watch parts of it, not all of it, the way that I watched Mobland. But with Mobland, it really captured me every second, right? There was something about that show that captured my imagination every single second, as opposed to, let's say, Gangs of London. It's an excellent series, but I gotta watch the whole thing to really get to the bottom of it. But so far, what I've seen out of it, it's a very slow burn, right? Whereas with Mobland, it's just fast paced, get to the point, in your face, and this and that, right? So, okay, so today we talked about obviously the John Jones situation. It's still an ongoing situation in the world of MMA. We talked about that. We talked about Kevin Lee suing GFL. We talked about Mobland, the season review on this particular matter. We also talked about UFC 316, the full card. We gave a full card prediction from the first fight all the way to the main event. We also talked about Mobland. We also talked about Gangs of London, which is also an excellent series. Give us some special shout outs to everyone that has commented on the comment section below. So, as always, Chattiest Gaming, shout out to you. Marty Miller 65, Morgan Blackhand, Pizza Roll, Tekken, WVC, Pizza Roll again, Tekken as well. MMA Paradox, the Chad, or the YouTuber formerly known as MMA, Chad the Paradox, but now is shortened it to MMA Paradox. Probably better for marketing reasons. Obviously, a lot easier to find. But in any regard, shout outs to MMA Paradox. Shout outs to Fanai. Who else here? Michael Finch Boyer, shout outs to you. Yoke, shout outs to you. F15, haven't seen you in a while in here, shout out to you. BA24, shout out to you. Free Palestine, he said. BA24, also Fanai, Tekken. Diego Gomez, shout out to you. Felix Guzman Martinez, shout out to you. Dave Maj, shout out to you as well. Vihan, shout outs to Vihan. Also shout outs to What the Gaming. Very interesting name, What the Gaming. Who else was here? Fiji Water. Shout outs to Fiji Water. Shout outs to Lucky Bag. Shout outs to Ivor Rex RL. Sort of trolled me there a little bit, saying that my mic was off. Michael Finch Boyer as well. Shout outs to you. LOL. Let's go for that. Shout out to you, Bro Force. Herberto Perez, shout out to you. And of course, Juice Man 562, my Long Beach partner, shout out to you. And Fresh Melon Juice. Talk about the drone strike on Russia and why Trump was kept out of the loop. Okay, so that's very interesting. You know what? Let's go on with a little bonus stream right now. All right, you want to talk about Russia and the drone wars and all of that going on? All right, let's get to it right now. Let's get to it. Shout out to Fresh Melon Juice just dropping in. So in the request of Melon Juice, we're going to react to the Russian drone strikes that have happened here. So let's check this out real quick. Russia drone attack.
You know Harbor Freight for affordability, but...
All right, so for those of you that are tapping in right now, we're going on a bonus stream. We're going to talk about Ukraine targeting Russian airfields with drone attacks.
Staging a major attack on Russia. Incredible video coming in, capturing the large-scale special operation, Ukrainian drones and missiles targeting 4 Russian military airfields across the country, destroying some of its nuclear-capable bomber fleet on the ground. Overnight, Russia attacking Ukraine with 479 drones and missiles, marking one of, if not the largest overnight aerial attack of the war. This comes as leaders from Russia and Ukraine are expected to return to the table for a second round of peace talks tomorrow. Presidents.
Now, I tell you what, that's very strange, man. That's very strange that they were able to have peace talks and then do this at the same time, right? I don't know what the strategy is behind that. I would imagine that if you're dealing with the Russians, there's going to be retaliatory repercussions and reprisals that come out of this. They're going to have peace talks. They're going to do things diplomatically for Monday. By the way, is this when is this 1 day ago? So okay, Monday. So this was probably Sunday when this happened. Okay, so the peace talks were right now. So were yesterday. So yeah, okay. All right. So, okay.
Zelensky confirming today that Ukraine will be at the talks in Istanbul on Monday, laying out in a statement.
Okay, so the peace talks are in Istanbul, which I guess is more of a neutral territory out of out of everyone else. So, okay, maybe that's what's going on here. All right, so
his position ahead of that meeting. Meanwhile, Russian officials are refusing to reveal their terms for a potential deal. ABC News foreign correspondent Marcus Moore joins us with the latest. So, Marcus, what more do we know about these new military strikes?
Well, hey, Whit, good to be with you. This was a highly sophisticated operation and truly extraordinary in the way it was executed. Ukraine apparently managed to transport the drones that were used in what have been described as mobile homes, but they look more like shipping containers when you see the pictures. And according to sources, they had roofs that could be retracted remotely, and that's where those drones were launched. 4 different airfields were hit. You see the video there. 40 planes were damaged or destroyed, and at least 1 strategic bomber was also destroyed. And one of the airfields was in Siberia. So we are talking about a major
Juice Man, I'm gonna go with Marab on that one. I like Sean O'Malley. I would love for Sean O'Malley to win, but I don't know if he has what it takes to win this time.
Operation, and one that, according to a source, was personally supervised by the Ukrainian President Zelensky. This drone attack followed that massive Russian air assault on Ukraine overnight. I think when you put all of this together with...
Yeah, about that, Juice Man, I don't think Pena is a lock on that one. I think Pena, yeah, she's going to lose this one, dude. Yeah, I think she's going to lose this one. Kayla's too good, man. She's too good. She is too good, and it's going to show. It's going to show in this fight. So let me read some article on this one right here. So for 18 months, Ukraine's internal security service planned an audacious assault on the far-flung Russian airfields, first sneaking drones into Russia, then planting them near key military runways. So on Sunday, just ahead of the rounds of peace talks, it was time to go. Near 4 unsuspecting Russian military bases, remotely activated roofs lifted off mobile homes and shred parks on flatbed trucks. Armed Ukrainian drones tucked inside soared upward and then punched on the military aircraft lined up on the runways, engulfing many in flames. Well, look, I don't know if anybody died in this particular instance. I guess that was the point that they were trying to make, right? If they're going to have peace talks, the very least they can do is just destroy equipment, but not destroy lives. And I don't think the Russians are going to really be kind to take such a transgression. So the brazen attack, which Ukrainian officials claim destroyed at least 13 Russian aircraft and dozens of others, shocked Russia and instantly reduced its capabilities to threaten a nuclear attack or launch missile strikes on Ukraine and other countries. So obviously, it was a strike used to try and offset what the Russians had going on. It also served a crucial reminder to Moscow and Ukraine's Western partners that Kiev remains capable of exploiting Russia's weakness and disrupting its war plans despite being outnumbered and outgunned. Ukraine said the damaged or destroyed aircraft, which some were nuclear capable, included an A-50, Tu-95, a Tu-22, an M3, and a Tu-160 models. Planes Kiev and Russia had used nearly every night to bomb Ukraine. Okay, so that was the point, was to try and offset that situation. Where do you think GFL went wrong? Well, reformed racist says GFL trying. Okay, so I think where they went wrong was going ahead of themselves, right? Trying to rush whatever it is that they had going on, thinking that they were going to create something out of it. Bringing people in that did not consent and hoping that they would consent in order to just use their names, right? It just, this organization overall reformed racist, right? That's really the best way to say it. By the way, very interesting name that you have, reformed racist. Let me know the background behind that name and why you came up with that name and what's the backstory, and let me know what part of the world you are from. Shout out to you, my man. But okay, so but the swift, angry reactions in Russia confirmed that Ukraine had exploited to devastating effects. An obvious vulnerability, essential and expensive aircraft left out in the open, but believed safe because they were deep inside the country. The operation also marked the latest example of drone technologies redefining modern warfare. Okay, Western analysis said that the strikes will hinder Russia's ability to launch cruise missiles into Ukraine and could force Russian commanders to shift significant resources to better protect aviation assets. But the analysis cautioned that the strikes are unlikely to significantly alter the course of war, as Moscow still has enough aircraft to continue bombing Ukrainian cities and infrastructures, which they probably will at this point, right? Because obviously there's going to be retaliatory, consequences to that. Tekken says Putin cannot afford to concede the rubble that has been fallen too far and invaluable for too long. What is this? Ooh, hold on just a second. Let me turn on the light here. Okay. concede in Russia for too long, and investors were losing confidence in Russia. He needs resources to land investors' confidence. Reformed Racist says, I'm from Arkansas, grew up in a household of racists, found God and changed my ways. Now I spread positivity and open-mindedness. All right, everybody, give a clap for Reformed Racist. Shout out to you, my man. I know that initially you see a name like that, it's like, who is this guy? That looks like a weird name, but as somebody who understands things about change and how people can change and things of that nature, I sort of understood the message and what you were about just based on your name alone. And just looking at your profile pic alone, it has a picture of a black hand and a white hand sort of fist bumping each other or shaking hands. So I understand your message. So shout out to you. Everybody give a warm welcome to Reformed Racist. And by the way, don't forget to also hit the like and subscribe button. And everybody give a Reformed Racist a round of applause and a big welcome to the Kyrie Abu El-Kheer MMA channel. So shout out to you, my man. Tekken says, if Putin loses, Russia is done. Might as well rename it Turkey. Ooh, yeah, okay. So in the video, that could be independently verified by Washington Post. People who appear to be locals living around the air bases recorded the drones zooming past them and plumes of black smoke on the horizon. In a video, one woman was watching a drone move towards a smoldering air base as her neighbor suggested it might be the 11th to fly by. So there was more than multiple dozens of them flying by. In another video, a man films several drones fly out in the back of a truck station on the side of the highway. A volley of a gunfire can be heard in the background as security forces try to shoot down the drones. In another, a young soldier, apparently stationed at another airbase, records several aircraft burning. Facing the camera, he uses as an expletive to describe the scene. Enraged chief Russian propagandist Vladimir Solotov later demanded that the soldier be shot for making the video and called him a scumbag. Meanwhile, in Kiev, the SBU, the Ukrainian security agency that planned the brazen strikes, publicly took credit for the plan and revealed that the operation's code name as Spiderweb. President Zelensky quickly posted photos of himself hugging the agency head, Lieutenant General Vasil Maluik, in celebration. And so I'm going to read this with a Russian accent, okay? The enemy thought that it could bomb Ukraine and kill Ukrainians with impunity and endlessly, Mulek said in a statement Monday. But this is not so. We will respond to Russian terror and destroy the enemy everywhere. Ukraine said that the SBU operatives involved in attack were evacuated safely from Russia before it began. In Ukraine, the successful attack injected some much-needed optimism in society, beguiled by more than 3 years of full-scale war and worn down by many what see as undue U.S. pressure to concede to Russian demands even without security guarantees. This operation completely changes the perception of reality, both with Russia and around the world. Our enemies now forced to recognize Ukraine intelligence services as capable of penetrating with even more secure facilities, said Ukrainian lawmaker Roman Koseko, who serves as Secretary of Parliament National Security Committee. When enemy loses dozens of strategic bombers, it's not just technical loss, but it is blow to ability to blackmail the world with missile strikes. Former Ukrainian Defense Minister Oleksiy Rezadov said Ukraine had transferred its 2 bombers to Moscow as part of its 1996 agreement to give up its nuclear capabilities in exchange for security guarantees from several countries, including Russia. In June 1st, 2025, Ukraine began removing those very aircrafts from one memorandum from main guarantors. The guarantor had shamelessly used against peaceful Ukrainians, he said, describing Sunday attack as peculiar from all military legal sanctions. One former Ukrainian official said, who spoke to conditions of enmity to discuss a sensitive political movement described as the attacks as providing an immense inspirational push for Ukrainian society and its soldiers, that he may fear he may inspire more resistance to compromise that could lead to real ceasefire. We're less likely to compromise in nearest future, and some forms of compromise seem to be the only way to pause the war, he said. Still, he added, the attack dramatically improved SBU's reputation and deserves to be described in his history books. The vulnerability of aircraft has been a point of criticism among Russian military bloggers who have called for better defenses as hardened covers, hangars, said Samuel Bennett, a drone expert and advisor to Russia's study program at the Center of Naval Analysis, a think tank in Arlington, Virginia. Air defenses on the bases were probably honed to detect bigger Ukrainian drones that operate at long ranges, and probably not looking for FPV drones that literally snuck under the radar, Bennett said. The FP drones are small aircraft guided by pilots using a camera with first-person view. A big question is how Russia built the bruised components of its nuclear arsenal, he said. Among the destroyed or damaged planes were aircraft that have been modernized but no longer in production. Would not make sense to rebuild propeller-driven Tu-95s, Bennett said. Through Russia, it has to acquire the next generation of bombers to expect it to replace them. Another question is how Ukrainian ultimately steered the drones. The sophistication of launching the drones after one points to capabilities such as drones pre-programmed to fly towards their targets, analysis said. Pilots may have been involved in the latest stretch of attackers' run, Bennett said in one video. A drone slows down and hovers above the wings of bombers, then targets vulnerable positions of wing fuel and engine, he said. Such precise attack is a hallmark of FB drones, which carry relatively small payloads but pack a big punch. All right, so quite a long article here. So, okay, that's basically what's going on here. You guys can read the rest of that in the Washington Post, which was written yesterday. So, all right, guys, I think that is all that we have for this particular topic right now in this particular time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for everyone that has tapped in, including our new member on the chat right here, our Reformed Racist. Shout out to you, shout out to Tekken, and shout out to everybody that I shouted out earlier. That is all that I have for you guys right now. I will be back doing a live stream sometime today, maybe one more time, maybe the second time around, maybe the third time. That was a good Russian newsman. Yeah, shout out to you, Fresh Melon Juice. You like that, huh? The little Russian accent. I had to, right? I had to put on some Russian Ukrainian accent for that one. But on any regard, guys, thank you for tapping in. I will see you in the next one. And shout out to Fresh Melon Juice, because you are the one that brought up this subject, and it's good that I talked about it. So with that in mind, I'm going to put this on the description down below as well as one of the news topics that we talk about. So the Russian drone strikes on Russian airbase. There we go. We'll put it like that. Okay. Okay, Ukrainian. Not Russian, but Ukrainian. All right, so on any regard, guys, like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one, inshallah.